Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys from Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful November the 9th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, this is like reminiscing Friday. You know, you got to take a step back, have a sip of moonshine, and realize what you were doing 22 years ago today that changed the landscape of professional sports.
Yeah.
Iron Man Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas 15 years ago tonight in Tokyo.
Wow.
An event that no one thought could ever occur in the world of professional boxing, Charlton.
Yeah.
Invincible Iron Mike Tyson, who was just devastating. You know, Mike Tyson was a guy, when you walked into the ring, you were sitting there asking your corner, had the check cleared.
Making sure.
You knew you weren't going to get any bonus for lasting. So all you wanted to know was the check cleared, and you could get out of that fight as quickly as you could. But, you know, it was one of the more devastating nights in the history of heavyweight championship fighting, Charlton, to see Mike Tyson go down in Tokyo to Buster Douglas.
Yeah, I remember it was devastating. I was shocked. I almost thought, I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. All outside of the country, maybe they gave him some bad beef fix. You know, sometimes fighters get bad beef. So, I don't know, but that's crazy. It's one of those things where it's like losing that silver dollar that you find when you're a kid. Like, why lose that fight to Buster Douglas? And we know Mike Tyson came back and bounced back. But I do want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I do want to start today's show by saying we've had a very eventful week on Big C Sports Show with all the things that have happened with the vote. And Big C, obviously, we're big on saying get out and vote, and we don't believe in pretending that the vote's not important. So thank you for all of your help with all the news that you provided from down south, about 3,000 miles from California. Also, I want to say to the people in California, California's burning again. There's some fires down in Southern California, also Northern California. The whole state looks like it's gray. Even in the daytime, it felt like it was about 6 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock p.m., right before the sun starts to go down. But it's been just fires all over the place. Even the LA Rams, Big C, they canceled their practice today because the smoke is not healthy. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I can understand, you know, canceling practice, but, you know, there was even more of a concern with the residents down there in that area, Charlton, and Malibu Beach and other parts of Southern California. You know, that they didn't get a chance to cancel what they were doing because their whole life is being affected.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice for the sports teams to be considerate of the players' health, but I think the health of the citizens of that area, Charlton, are not going to be as fortunate. You know, over 2,000 structures were being threatened by the fire, Charlton. People were losing everything, and there have been several losses of life from people who were not able to escape that burning torrent out there, Charlton, in Southern California.
Yeah.
And a very unfortunate thing, you know, when we think about all of what's going on in our country, Charlton, from the election to the shooting there in Southern California, there in the nightclub, Charlton, where people who survived the massacre in Las Vegas from some angry, disgruntled white man ended up losing their lives to some angry, disgruntled white man in Southern California, Charlton, doing the same thing. And the most appalling thing that I feel, Charlton, is the NRA coming out attacking doctors who have to treat the victims of every one of these mass shootings in America.
Wow.
The NRA is telling doctors to just shut up and wait on patients. You know, the doctors, you know, they don't want to treat patients any longer with bullet wounds.
Right.
They're there to treat the sick and injured, but not the shot, Charlton. They don't want people coming in with bullet wounds because that person with a bullet wound generally doesn't stand a chance at life, Charlton.
Yeah.
A normal life again.
Yeah.
But the NRA, to be so flippant, to go out and say to doctors, the people who have to save the lives, that their armory is damaging, Charlton.
Yeah.
That the guns that they're backing up, these AR-15s, and these Tech 9s are shooting up people. The doctors, the NRA are telling the doctors, oh, well, it's your job to treat the injured. Yes, it is their job to treat the injured, Charlton, but we must look at the most humanitarian people in America. Those are doctors.
Yeah.
They treat people regardless of religion, regardless of political belief, regardless of ethnicity, Charlton.
Yeah.
They take an oath to save and protect lives. And to have the NRA, who the president backs wholly, Charlton, to come out and make that statement to the most sacred of people in the United States. I mean, we always talk about first responders, the police officers, the firemen, the paramedics, Charlton. But the doctor is the last line of defense to save someone's life. They prep them to get them to a doctor, Charlton, for him to work that miracle that he has learned to save an American life, Charlton.
Yeah.
And not just because of a gunshot. We think about heart attack victims, Charlton, stroke victims, amputees, everything. They do everything they can to save lives of Americans. But to have them attacked today by the NRA, that's the president saying, I'm a nationalist, and so are the NRA.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of things that happen in this country, and it's good that we could talk about everything. I'm so glad we're not just a dumbed down, hey, Big C, what's the score? You see the game last night? You know, we hope that everybody stays safe over this weekend, especially the people who are being, you know, just displaced in Southern California and all over the country. And our thoughts and prayers are definitely with you. Big C, I want to just say there's a moment in time where you pull out that Friday Night Lights and you got that Letterman's jacket. It don't zip up anymore, Big C, but you still put it on and it looks like it's a small T-shirt, but it still has that Letterman's jacket. This is Big C loves to pay homage to the high school teams all over this great country. We always like to pick out the top 10, and sometimes people, they tweet me out and say, man, you know, our team's undefeated. Well, why aren't we in your top 10? We can't get everybody. Big C's like Santa Claus. Do you use a sled to get around, or do you just drive the Escalade from school to school, Big C? Your thoughts?
But Charlton, that all-wheel drive will give you smooth sledding wherever you need to go, on ice, on mud, Charlton, on wet roads, you know. So, and you got air conditioning here, so it's comfortable. And that sled, you know, you might get a little frostbite on the face.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. Let's start off Big C's top 10 Friday Night Lights. Number 1, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California, followed by number 2, Allen, Texas. Number 3, St. John's, Washington, D.C. Number 4, modern-day Santa Ana, California. Number 5, Carroll City of Miami, Florida. Number 6, IMG Academy of Bradenton, Florida. A lot of people heard about that program. Number 7, St. Francis Academy, Baltimore, Maryland. Number 8, Centennial, Corona, California. Number 9, Colquitt County, Norman Park, Georgia. Now, when they say Colquitt County, that sounds like Buford T. Justice territory. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's one of those counties in the state where they're still having a problem with the voting. You know, the governor's race hasn't been conceded in the state of Georgia yet, Charlton, and they're still counting ballots as well as in Florida.
Wow.
You know, you have a Senate and gubernatorial seat that's still up, Charlton, and so they're still counting ballots tonight. And so if they get to a certain point, they're going to have to be a runoff in both of those states, you know, and a recounting of the ballots. So, I mean, everything that everyone thought a couple nights ago was solidified, Charlton.
Yep.
It's not so certain now.
They're still dealing with it. We hope that they can get out and play the Friday Night Lights. Hopefully they all got to vote. I know high school's really big down in Georgia. Number 10, St. Louis, Honolulu, Hawaii. And we also have a kind of a bottleneck at number 10. A tour played at St. Louis and Honolulu, Hawaii. I think that keeps him on the map, and he's a quarterback for Alabama. And then you have Central of Miami, Florida, and number 12, De La Salle, Concord, California. So everybody's saying, how come we're not in the top 10? We're undefeated. Can't get everybody in, but that's your Friday Night Lights on Big C Sports. We hope that you all have fun. Big C, now this is high school, so be easy on what you drink as a libation. What's a great tailgate for high schools? Is it ribs? Is it French fries? Is it hot dogs? What's Big C's tailgate recipe for high school football, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Charlton, the kids are always going to be happy with hot dogs and hamburgers, okay?
Yep.
They don't like all this fangled food. They don't want chicken wings, Charlton, stuff that they have to find a disposal for. The only disposal they want is what they can put in their belly there, Charlton. So, you know, some soft drinks and some hot dogs and hamburgers, Charlton. They're happy.
They're always happy. Well, that's good. Well, so we hope everybody's happy with the soft drinks and the hot dogs for Big C's Friday Night Lights. May you all be safe. Please do not let your friends drive if they're not capable of driving safe. Big C, let's jump on Big C's college football. I know it's big in your heart down south, you good old boys. The only thing bigger than church is football in the South, Big C. I want to start out some of the games for this college football weekend. Even tonight, a big game out on the West Coast, Boise, Idaho, number 17, Fresno State, the number 1 ranked team in California when it comes to college football, Big C. They are actually 8-1 in the season at Boise State, 7-2. That's a 10 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on ESPN2. And the Bulldogs are favored by 2.5 up in Boise. Normally, if you're a home team, that's at least good for 3. I hope the Bulldogs didn't eat a lot of potatoes, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess you can really call that the true blue wave when you go to Boise.
Yeah.
You know, they got that blue astroturf up there in that potato state.
Yes.
And, you know, it's going to be a little cold up in Boise. And I think those boys from California are not used to being in weather that's not at least 70 degrees. So you get up in Boise, it could probably be in the mid to high 30s tonight, Charlton.
Yeah.
And it's going to make the ball a little slick for some of those receivers. I know that Fresno State has a high-powered passing attack.
Yes.
So, you know, this is going to be a very competitive game, and I believe they're playing for the conference title.
Yeah, they are playing for that Mountain West title, Big C. So good luck to both of those programs. Big C, on the East Coast, Louisville, only 2-7, but they are at number 13, Syracuse. Still a rivalry game, and Syracuse is 7-2. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff tonight, ESPN2. Syracuse is favored by 21, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Dino Favors is one of the hot young coaches, Charlton, now in college football. He's got Syracuse program turned around. He's looking to guide this team to its first 10-win season, Charlton, since back in 2001.
Yeah.
You know, Syracuse has been one of those programs that has been flying under the radar, Charlton, at 7-2.
Yep.
You know, and you know, this is a big game for them. You know, a lot of people think they might be looking past this game because they have Notre Dame next week.
Yeah.
But they got to handle their business against Louisville tonight. And if you recall, last week, Louisville gave up 77 points to Clemson, rather.
I thought it was a basketball score, but that was a football. That was a football team. Big, you're right about that. So hopefully they got all the generosity on defense out of the system for tonight. Big C, I want to kick off Saturday Big C Sports college football, and we have none other than them good old boys up in the Midwest. Number 7 Ohio State, 8-1 of the season at Michigan State, 6-3. That's a noontime kickoff on Fox Sports. Ohio State's only favored by 3.5. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Ohio State is a turf team, Charlton, and they're going to be playing in East Lansing, where it's most likely going to be some snow on the ground. If not, Charlton, it's just going to be at freezing temperature.
Yeah.
And we know that Ohio State hasn't performed well offensively this year, Charlton, since Urban Meyer's return.
Yeah.
They've been a tale of two tapes. This team's offensive production has gone down week after week. I mean, they struggled last week against Nebraska. Nebraska took them to task, and they only won by less than a touchdown.
Yeah.
Charlton.
Yeah.
And Michigan State is a much better team than Ohio State, Charlton. So I see this being a hard-fought battle, and this may just be a field goal game, Charlton. But Ohio State can't look past Michigan State, hoping to get to Michigan.
That's a very good point. Big C, as we go, I don't know if I'm north, south, east, or west, but TCU, they're down south, 4-5. The Horned Frogs at number 8, West Virginia, 7-1. And they're in that Big 12 conference, but they really should be in the ACC because they're up there in Virginia anyway. 7-1 of the season. Just had a great game down in the heart of Texas with the last few seconds, a touchdown pass by their quarterback. They're 7-1 on the season. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff on Fox Sports 1. And West Virginia's favored by 11 points over a TCU team that many people thought would challenge for the Big 12 when the season kicked off. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, TCU didn't have the season they expected this year. They've had trouble against teams that can throw the ball, and that started with Ohio State, Charlton. They had trouble with Oklahoma throwing the ball. They had trouble with Texas throwing the ball. We know what Will Greer at West Virginia can do, Charlton. He's one of the top 3 Heisman candidates in the country. He can throw the ball. You look at the performance he had last week against Texas, 4 touchdowns and over 360 yards throwing the ball in the air, Charlton.
Yeah.
TCU made a change at quarterback 2 weeks ago. So this team is still unsettled. When you make a change late in the season at quarterback, you're trying to build for the upcoming season. You know, you're not trying to play this one out. You're looking at next year.
Yep.
West Virginia will handle business in the game, Charlton.
Well, I really like that quarterback. You've been high on that quarterback all season long, and he's really good, Big C. Navy's only 2-7. They're at number 11, Central Florida. Got to watch Central Florida because they're the team that's been discriminated against, Big C. They haven't lost a game in 2 years, Big C. They're 8-0 in the season. It's a noontime kickoff on ESPN2. and University of Central Florida, they're favored by 25 points. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Mackenzie Milton is an outstanding quarterback down in Central Florida, Charlton. He can will his team to victory, but they have so much talent offensively. When you think about the best team in Florida, it's Central Florida. It's not Miami.
Yep.
It's not Florida State. It's not the University of Florida. It's Central Florida.
Yep.
They're the only team that's been undefeated, Charlton, in the last 2 years in the state, with a state that has a wealth of talent. Everyone wants to say, well, they don't play in the SEC, they don't play in the ACC.
Right.
Charlton, they play the teams that are on their schedule. No one knocks Alabama for those first 3 games that they have of the season when at the end of the year, those 3 teams, Charlton, will have a combined 9 wins, okay?
Wow.
No one says anything about that.
Yeah.
But Central Florida, Charlton, outstanding program. I see them continuing their winning ways, Charlton, pushing that winning streak to 22 consecutive games.
Well, I'm sure they'll look forward to doing that, Big C. Wisconsin 6-3. Last year, Wisconsin played in the Big Ten championship game. They're at number 20. Penn State 6-3 on this season. That's a noontime kickoff. ABC Sports. Penn State's favored by 9, but I haven't. That's the same Penn State that was blown out by Michigan. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Wisconsin's the team, Charlton, has been struggling. They lost their starting quarterback, Hornibrook. Jonathan Taylor hasn't been the running back they thought he would this year, Charlton. Even though he's leading the nation in rushing, he hasn't had high productivity in his last 2 games.
Yes.
This team, Charlton, they should go out and have a good game, but Penn State lost their quarterback last week also. And so this is a game that's a toss-up.
Yes.
It's who really wants it.
Yeah, that I tell you what, it's a good game, and the weather should be good for both teams to balance out the speed. Big C, South Carolina 5-3. At number 21, Florida 6-3. That's a noontime kickoff. ESPN's Florida's favored by 6. Florida's lost 3 games since Central Florida has not lost at all. And Florida's still ranked top 21 in the country. Central Florida's only 10 spots ahead, but they haven't lost in 2 years. Shows you some of the bias. Has Florida, are they living on the laurels, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if they're living on their laurels. I mean, the bowl committee likes them, Charlton.
Yeah.
They like the coach
name.
and they like the program.
Yeah.
Even though they have 3 losses, Charlton, there's a lot of teams in the country that are better than that and have less than 3 losses, and Florida's ranked ahead of them.
Yep.
You know, playing South Carolina is no big deal because South Carolina just hasn't become the team that they should be. Will Muschamp has not done anything to turn this program around, Charlton. But maybe, you know, they'll be able to eke out one against Florida. And if they do beat Florida, South Carolina does, will Central Florida go ahead of Florida in the polls finally?
That would be incredible. And you know the answer is no, Big C. They're not going to let that happen to them good old boys. I want to swing out to the West Coast. UCLA 2-7. I'm only putting them in today's topic at Arizona State 5-4. And that's a 2 o'clock kickoff on the Pac-12 network. Arizona State's favored by 13. The only reason I bring them up is because Arizona State, as mediocre as they are, they're still in contention for the Pac-12 South. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they need this game, Arizona State does, to become bowl eligible.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a nice story to have Herm Edwards come out of retirement, out of the broadcast booth,
Yeah.
and go in and be successful in his first year of a program. Wait a minute, there's another guy out there on the West Coast that came out of the broadcast booth also, didn't he?
Yeah.
I know he's in California. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Yeah.
But he came out of the broadcast booth. Herm Edwards, you say he's won 5 games.
Yep.
And that other guy, I think, is got backdoored into one. You know, this is a good move for Herm Edwards to be able to turn around that Sun Devil program, Charlton, and become bowl eligible. Chip Kelly, you know, has played some good games, but I don't know if he has enough to stay up with Arizona State in this game, Charlton, because of their quarterback problem.
Big C, I want to expound on something you said. Here's you look at John Gruden and you look at Herm Edwards. If they were both applying for NFL jobs, you know, Herm Edwards would have to need the Rooney Rule in order for someone to take a look at him. But here he is, hasn't coached in a lot longer than since Gruden's been away, Big C, and he has his team in contention for a Pac-12 South championship, a bowl game berth, putting Arizona State back on the map. And there's not really much talk about him being Coach of the Year. But if Gruden had won 5 games with the Raiders, people would be saying, you know what, Gruden has them spinning. I mean, he's spinning things in the right direction. Gruden might be up for Coach of the Year. I just want to get your thoughts. If we reverse the role, if Gruden was at college in 5-4, and maybe they'd be saying maybe up for Coach of the Year, competing for a conference championship. And if you think about it, if Edwards coached the Raiders and he was 1-8, they would be saying it's a bad hire and put him back in the press box. Big C, your thoughts?
Oh, they would have said that a long time ago, Charlton, that he's been away from the game too long,
Yep.
that he's lost touch with the modern player. He doesn't understand today's philosophy in the NFL. Those would have been the stories about Herman Edwards. But as you said, he couldn't get a job in the coach as an NFL head coach, Charlton, because of the Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the interview.
But
it was easy for him to get the job in college.
Yeah.
And to be successful, no one will do that comparison. These two coaches worked for the same network.
Sure did.
Matter of fact, Kelly was there also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you think about the three coaches that were with that network last year, and look at the success that only one of them has had this year.
Yeah.
The one coach, Charlton, should end up the season with more victories than those other two coaches combined.
Yeah.
Will they get the praise on that? No, Charlton. They will talk about those other two coaches and what they need to improve their programs in the NFL and in college.
Oh, I got to bring it up one more time. Herman Edwards. They all work at the same mothership network. Herman Edwards has Arizona State at 5-4 in the season in contention for a Pac-12 South championship. That means that they could actually win the Pac-12 if the ball bounces the right way. You look at Chip Kelly, 2 wins at UCLA. John Gruden, 1 win that was manufactured by the NFL when they beat Cleveland. He has more wins than both of his white counterparts, but the 2 white counterparts have been allowed to coach in the NFL, which you're going to get money forever in that system, and they did not need the Rooney Rule. Combined, they're just 3 wins, John Gruden and Chip Kelly. Herman Edwards already has 5, Big C, and they snapped USC's win streak at the Coliseum. That was 18 games. Google that when you talk about what's fair in Love and War. Big C, I know you might want to get the tailgate really going for this one. You have number 15, Mississippi State. Are you good old boys down south say Mississippi? Is it Mississippi or Mississippi? Which one is it, Big C?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Okay. It's like Miss.
You Mississippi.
And you're sipping something. Mississippi.
I knew you had the right answer, Big C. Mississippi State 6-3 at number 1 Alabama 9-0. 3:30 kickoff, CBS Sports. Alabama's favored by 23.5. Are they showing Bama a lack of respect to only making them a 23.5 point favorite? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you got to remember, Charlton, last year this contest was a 6-point game.
Yep.
Alabama only beat Mississippi State by 6 points down in Starkville.
Yeah.
Now, this is a game for carnivores. Now, you think about the Crimson Tide and Elephants,
Yeah.
okay? And you think about the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They had these cowbells. And they had these cowboys that send the Bulldogs out there to attack them, see? So you're talking about barbecue flavor, Charlton. You got all this meat. I mean, you got a meat for a week. You go down there.
I think, see, I don't want to get Michael Vick too excited, but you saying you can compare the taste between dog and elephant, Big C? Is that what you just said?
They're both a little teeny, you're down in Michael Vick territory.
Yeah.
And there's not a dog in Mike
Oh, God.
I don't know why. But, there's no dogs walking the street in Mike Taylor.
No, they can read, Big C, dog's man's best friend. They can also read. I want to look at another team that's really looking at something as far as trying to get there. Michigan, number 4 in the country. They're 8-1 on the season. They're at 1-8 Rutgers. Talk about not having a letdown game before you play Ohio State. Give me your thoughts on how it's almost insulting to say that they could lose to a team like Rutgers, but it wouldn't be the first time that a team overlooked somebody. That game is 3:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network. Michigan's favored by 39 points. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think last year Michigan was favored by 37 over Rutgers, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they covered the spread twice. They beat them by 78. No change this year.
No change this year. More competition down in the Southwest. Oklahoma State 5-4 at number 6. Oklahoma 8-1. 3:30 kickoff. ABC Sports. Oklahoma's favored by 21 points. Big C. Oklahoma State can upset teams, but they can also drop a game. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is called Bedlam.
Yeah.
That's that Oklahoma State rivalry. Last week it was quite disappointing to see Oklahoma State drop that game, Charlton, after beating Texas, knocking them out of playoff contention and top 10 ranking, Charlton.
Yep.
And then go out the following week and lay an egg. This Oklahoma team, Charlton, just has no defense. All they do is say, look, we're just going to outscore you. That's the mindset with Lincoln Riley and his offense when they go out, because the guys on the defensive side, I don't know if they do any tackling drills in practice or anything, Charlton, but I've seen Pop Warner teams practice, tackle better than the Sooners do on defense.
Yeah,
they don't have a defensive back with a scar on his helmet.
Wow.
I mean, they got the cleanest helmets coming out of the games I've ever seen in a college football contest. Kyler Murray has to work overtime, Charlton. But I do expect for him to be able to pull this one out against Oklahoma State.
Well, I tell you what, these two programs have been playing a lot. This is the 112th meeting, Big C. Oklahoma leads the series 87 wins, 18 losses, in 7 ties. So really not a matchup historically. But when you look at Gundy's coach team, Van Gundy's coach team, they actually have, Mike Gundy, they have a lot of players that they get up for the big games the same way they got up against Texas. Might be another Texas opportunity if they can knock the good old boys off from the Oklahoma State. I want to get your thoughts on teams that maybe are overlooked no matter how great they play. There was a time when Colorado was ranked in the top heap of the Pac-12 conference. They were undefeated until they went to Southern California and lost. They take on number 9 Washington State, which is 8-1 in the season. Their only loss also was to Southern California at the Coliseum. 3:30 kickoff, ESPN. Washington State favored only by 6. Washington State, they have to be careful. If they're going to get into the college football playoff talks, they have to get some style points. You can't beat a team with 4 losses by 6. You got to win by double digits. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Washington State should be undefeated. The officials did not make the targeting call when they lost to SC, which would have allowed them an opportunity to win that game potentially, Charlton. And they didn't make the call.
Yeah.
And I think the state is famous for the ski slopes and stuff like that, Charlton.
Yeah.
Ever since the Buffaloes lost to USC, they've been skiing downhill. they can't find any traction, Charlton.
Yeah.
And playing against Gunnar Mishu, who's the nation's leading passer, Charlton, this will be a game where your defensive backs got to have a long stride and a short memory.
Yep.
Because it's going to be a long night chasing the Washington State receiver.
I got to ask you, Big C, what tastes better, Buffalo or Cougar, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, a Cougar will eat a buffalo when given an opportunity, and so will I.
Yeah, I understand, Big C. They have no chance in Big C's neck of the woods. Couple more games. Oregon 6-3 at Utah, ranked number 24, 6-3 on the season. 5:30 kickoff on the Pac-12 network. Utah's actually favored by 4, and Auburn 6-3 at number 5 Georgia, 8-1. 7 o'clock kickoff, ESPN. Georgia's favored by 14 over an Auburn team that many people thought could compete for the SEC championship. Your thoughts?
Auburn's been quite disappointing this year, Charlton. They went on the slide, lost to some teams, and especially when they lost to Tennessee. That right there was a backbreaker when after that opening game victory against the University of Washington.
Yeah.
Jared Stidham hasn't played as well as everybody expected for him to play at quarterback, Charlton, this year. But if you recall last year, these teams met up. Georgia was undefeated.
Yeah.
Auburn took care of business in that scenario, Charlton. They will be up to play Georgia. If they can knock off Georgia, Charlton, it will make their season. And, Georgia would still play in the SEC championship game, but this would make Auburn's season. That
would make a big difference, Big C. South Florida 7-2 at number 23, Cincinnati 8-1. 7 p.m. kickoff, ESPNU, and Cincinnati's favored by 14. Temple 5-4 at Houston 7-2. And that's a 7 o'clock kickoff on CBS Sports Net. Houston's favored by 5 in that game. Miami 5-4. Whatever happened to them, Big C? They're at Georgia Tech 5-4. 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN2, and Georgia Tech is favored by 3. A couple of more games. Florida State 4-5 on the season at number 3 Notre Dame 9-0. 7:30 kickoff on NBC Sports. Ian Book is not playing because he has a hitch in his giddy-up. Give me your thoughts. The Irish also, they have to avoid the upset. And you look at it, Florida State, you're also looking at a Syracuse and a USC. This is the toughest schedule getting into the playoffs, Big C, with Notre Dame. Your thoughts?
Well, Notre Dame, it doesn't have an easy road, Charlton, but, people will overlook Brandon Wimbush. You got to realize he quarterbacked the Irish the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
And they were undefeated.
Yeah.
But Kelly felt that he needed to make a quarterback change to get a little more momentum in the offense.
Yeah.
But coming back to Wimbush at this late stage, will they be able to recapture what they once had, Charlton? You got to expect him to be a little rusty in this game, Charlton.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame can't afford to get down early.
Number 10, LSU 7-2 at Arkansas, 2-7, 7:30 kickoff, SEC Network. LSU's favored by 13.5. Number 19, Texas. Them good old Longhorns at 6-3 at Texas Tech. Another shootout game, 7:30 kickoff on Fox Sports. Texas only favored by 1.5. And I got 2 more games for you, Big C. Number 2, Clemson, 9-0 at number 14 Boston College. Their last roadblock, the Boston College 7-2, an 8 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time on ABC Sports. Clemson favored by 19.5. This reminds me of what happened when they played Syracuse. They played a team from the Northeast, and you'll make your season if you knock off Clemson. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Boston's an up and down team, Charlton. They're almost like an elevator.
Yeah.
They can rise to the top and they can hit the bottom floor also.
Yep.
This is one of those games. I mean, they got a solid running back, Charlton. They got a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
That they can put points up. Clemson has to realize they're not playing Louisville this week, that they hung 77 points on Louisville.
Yep.
The only problem with a game like that, Charlton, is that you can't take any of those points from that 77-point game and bring them to the next game.
That's a very good point, Big C. Oregon State 2-7 at Stanford 5-4, and that's 9 o'clock kickoff, Pac-12 Network. Stanford's favored by 24. UNLV, and they're playing at San Diego State. UNLV's 2-7. San Diego State 7-2. 10:30 kickoff, ESPN2, and the Aztecs are favored by 22. You have Cal Berkeley 5-4 at Southern California 5-4. 10:30 kickoff, ESPN, and USC's favored by 5. Colorado State 3-6 at Nevada. 5-4, 10:30 kickoff, ESPN2, and Nevada, the Wolfpack favored by 14. I do want to say sports is a billion-dollar business, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Benemark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. I do want to say, before we get on to the role of the NFL, Big C's choices, I want to thank Adrian Ross, who is a Cincinnati Bengals former NFL football player, sitting down with Big C Sports over the weekend. Now he's a sports agent. Really appreciate him coming on board the Big C Sports Show. Also, 7-time All-Pro Patrick Willis, San Francisco 49er great, sitting down with Big C Sports. Big C, last night, NFL football. We thought it could have been a playoff preview or a Super Bowl preview. And I think you and I put some cheese and some shine on the line. It was California red wine and some southern, what you guys call it? I know ESPN was running the commercials lately since they followed what you've been doing. It was moonshine versus red wine. And I just got to say, I want to collect, but I'll double my bets and let you keep that shine, Big C. I picked Carolina. And no, did I pick Pittsburgh? I'm always changing my tune, Big C. I picked the team that won, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this was one of those games that when you think about a team playing well, and I forgot to call Terry Bradshaw today, damn, and I feel bad about that.
Yeah.
I honestly do, because, Terry Bradshaw is one of Mike Tomlin's biggest fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's negative or positive, but he's one of his biggest fans, saying that he's not an NFL caliber coach.
Yeah.
But we saw a team last night, Charlton, hang 52 points. And this is the same team that started out the season, Charlton, that was in a 21-21 tie with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, Charlton, defensively, that they held Carolina in check. They gave up that opening touchdown, Charlton, in the game, and they gave up the final touchdown in the game to them. But they held them in check for really 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
That they just dominated you. And they had touchdowns scored by 7 different individuals. And you think about Ben Roethlisberger's performance last night, Charlton. He was 22 of 25.
Yeah.
5 touchdown passes, Charlton. That is the second highest completion percentage in NFL history for 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Only Kurt Warner had a better game where he had 2 incompletions than 5 touchdown passes.
Wow.
Back early in the 2000s, Charlton, when he was with the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah.
But, this is the story of Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, one week you got Ben Roethlisberger saying, well, I don't know if I can still play this
I
game.
can play, yeah.
Then the next week he's coming out hanging 5 touchdowns on somebody.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown is leading the NFL in touchdown receptions.
Yep.
Even though he just got a ticket for 100 miles an hour. And what bothers me about the media, they say, well, is Mike Tomlin losing control because he got a player who's driving a $150,000 car, doing 100 miles an hour on it, Charlton? But, that had nothing to do with the Steelers locker room.
No.
He was trying to get to practice.
Yeah.
That's what he was trying to get to. He didn't want to get fined by But you think about that.
Yeah.
And I was caught a couple of times speeding when I was a player. I mean, one time in 2 different states. One time I was caught doing 117.
Uh-oh.
So, but you think about this. When you buy a high-end luxury vehicle, Charlton, you don't buy it to do 55.
Yeah.
I don't care what complexion you are. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, whatever. And everybody that's listening to this program knows that. And who drives 55 unless you're going through a school zone?
And you know what?
Yeah, that's the only time people slow down. But
Yeah.
if you got a high-end luxury vehicle, Charlton, a sports car, you're going to do 100 because you don't feel it. I mean, it looks like if you're doing 70, it's like, God, am I doing 45? That's what it feels like.
You know, there's some car companies out there that advertise 400, 500, 600 horsepower, and they're American legal, and people say, yeah, but you got to be responsible. If you don't want someone driving more than 55, why we need 600 horsepower in any car? But it's all fair and loving words. Please be safe out there, and also avoid, pay attention to the speeding laws, even when you're driving past them. You don't want Buford T. Justice chasing them down, Big C. And speaking of Buford T. Justice, the Buffalo Bills 2-7 at the Jets 3-6. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS Sports, and the Jets are favored by 7. I mean, thank goodness for the Bills to come in town and make the Jets a favorite. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is the remedy that you need when you're struggling offensively.
Yeah.
You sit down your starting quarterback, Sam Darnold. You say you got a foot problem.
Yep.
You can't get his foot out the way from throwing interceptions. So you put in Luke McCown, who hasn't played all year.
Yes.
But your remedy, Charlton, is that Nathan Peterman plays for both teams.
Yeah.
That's the plus you have when you're playing the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Is that not only is his receivers going to catch the ball, but your defensive backs are going to get a couple also.
Yeah.
The Jets will dominate this game, Charlton.
They'll dominate this game, Big C. I want to go to the Saints. They're 7-1, arguably the hottest team in the NFL. They're at the Bengals 5-3. This is also an outside-looking-in Super Bowl preview. We know it's not going to happen, at least for one team, but it's a 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on Fox Sports. The Saints are favored by 6. Now, here's a team that can put up a lot of points, but they are outside at Cincinnati, and they can play a little bit better at home if you're the Bengals. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at what the Saints do offensively, that's hard to match against anybody.
Yes.
I mean, Cincinnati has played well this year, being 5-3. Charlton, Andy Dalton has resurrected his season. A.J. Green has played outstanding, even though he has a hurt toe.
Yes.
May slow him down a little bit. The Saints have played a lot better defensively than what people thought that they would, Charlton. This is a game, and the Saints know if they don't end up with home field advantage, they have to be able to play a cold weather game, Charlton.
Yeah.
I think the Saints go out there and handle business in Cincinnati and keep that 7-game winning streak going on up to 8 games, Charlton.
That sounds good, Big C. Numbers. I'll tell you, another team that's right on our heels in their division, the Falcons 4-4, really coming on strong. They're at the Browns 2-6-1. A 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time Sunday on Fox Sports. And the Falcons are favored by 5 up in Cleveland. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this Falcons offense is just clicking, Charlton. Julio Jones is just unstoppable. Calvin Ridley, the rookie receiver out of Alabama, is one of the top 5 touchdown receivers in the NFL, Charlton, as a rookie. And Mohamed Sanu is just going out there getting the job done every week. Matt Ryan has thrown 19 touchdowns, Charlton. I don't know if Baker Mayfield is in that neighborhood.
No.
But I don't think that the Browns can keep pace with this high-powered Falcons offense is clicking on all cylinders right now, Charles.
I agree with you, Big C. The Jaguars 3-5 after the Colts 3-5, 2 mediocre teams, but the Jaguars started with a beatdown of the Patriots and they've gone downhill since. 1 o'clock kickoff Sunday on CBS Sports. The Colts are favored by 3, and they probably will win it. I know they came out and took care of the Raiders when Luck's playing a little bit better. Really not in control of what he would be if he got a little bit healthier. But I think with Fournette's kind of an iffy player. I don't know if he's going to play at all. Even if he does, he can't be that effective. Your thoughts on Andrew Luck? Does he have enough against the Jaguars defense, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is another one of those NFL games that only one professional quarterback will be playing.
Yeah.
And that's Andrew Luck.
Yes.
Leonard Fournette is supposed to be back in the lineup this week, Charlton.
Yep.
There will be a big boost for the Jacksonville offense because without him, Bortles is at a complete loss, Charlton. They made a trade for Carlos Hyde. They have not incorporated him in the offense in Jacksonville. The defense has been maligned, Charlton. Since beating New England, everybody has run up and down the field on them.
Yep.
That offense hasn't given them any help.
Yeah.
I like what the Colts are doing. They've gotten better. Andrew Luck is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the AFC right now, Charlton, statistically, and he's getting a little bit of help. I mean, he has some tremendous young players on defense. I see them going out there outscoring Jacksonville.
Well, that's a game a lot of people were looking forward to a couple of years ago. Big C, the Patriots 7-2 at the Titans 4-4, 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time Sunday on CBS Sports. The Patriots are always consistent. The only thing you can count on is that they're going to be consistent no matter who they're playing. But I don't know what to say about the Titans. They started the season with such promise when they beat Philadelphia, but they're just leveled off, Big C. Well, the Patriots favored by 7. Do you see them having any type of a letdown? Because they are down south, and that's Buford T. Justice territory. You want to bring your own Gatorade, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, prior to this season, Bill Belichick has just dominated his proteges
Yep.
that have become coaches with other programs. He lost early in the year to Detroit.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia beat him. Now he's facing another protege, Charlton, in Mike Vrabel, who was a former player of his. So does he have the answer? He has some players on offense, in Lewis, and on defense, and Butler, who knows what New England runs.
Yeah.
So they're very familiarized inside-wise of what they do. Just like when we saw Demaryius Thomas last week with the Texans
Yep.
playing against Denver. You knew their plays, Charlton, because you had a player that had carnal knowledge of that.
Yeah.
So this will be a challenging game for New England. If you remember their game last week, they didn't totally dominate Green Bay. They
No.
beat Green Bay, but
Yeah.
they didn't totally dominate. Will the Titans have any momentum coming off of that Dallas game, Charlton?
That's a very good point, Big C. I still look for New England with that, but they'll get a win there. The Lions 3-5 at the Bears 5-3. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time Sunday on Fox Sports. The Bears are favored by 7. Matthew Stafford, he was sacked 10 times in a loss to the Vikings, and now they're blaming the offensive line, or maybe he's holding the ball too long. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they got rid of his best receiver in Golden Tate, so he was less a receiver to throw to in that game.
Yeah.
They've gotten rid of the top running back from 2 years ago, Amir Abdullah, Charlton. He's gone.
Yeah.
So, this is a team that's restructuring mid-season. Are the Bears the real new monsters of the Midway? We're going to find that out. This is a game that if the Bears can beat the Lions this week, Charlton, they put a stranglehold on the Central Division.
Yeah.
They won't be caught by your cousin in Minnesota or Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
No, he's not my cousin, Big C. The Cardinals 2-6 at the Kansas City Chiefs 8-1. What a great program that they have up in Kansas City. Here's a team that all they do is win, but there's no Super Bowl to show for it. That you kind of feel like their time is due in the next year or two. The 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time Sunday on Fox Sports, and the Chiefs are favored by 17. The Cardinals, as bad as they are, quarterback with a broken foot, another quarterback in Stafford they got rid of because he wasn't good enough, they still have more wins than the Raiders. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the Chiefs, you talk about Super Bowls. They played in 2 of the first 4 Super Bowls in the NFL, Super Bowl 1 and Super Bowl 4, which they won Super Bowl 4 behind Lynn Dawson.
Yeah.
But when you look at where the Chiefs are offensively right now, and everybody's saying, well, when is the bubble going to burst? Well, they lost to New England, so that burst the bubble. They understood what it's like to lose a game.
Yeah.
But they were right in the game that they lost, Charlton. The thing about the Cardinals, they don't have the firepower to stay with the Chiefs even in the first quarter, Charlton.
Yeah.
The Chiefs will outscore the Cardinals in the first quarter, and the rest of the game will look that way.
Yep.
This is a game when you talk about a quarterback with a hurt toe.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs' defense is getting better. We know where their offense is. Their defense is getting better. This will just be a drubbing down against the Cardinals.
Yeah, they can light it up, Big C. I want to get your thoughts on another game that has at a time it had potential for a great matchup. The Redskins 5-3 at the Buccaneers 3-5, a 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on Fox Sports. And the Buccaneers are favored by 3. We know they can score a lot of points, but can they stop anybody from outscoring them, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a game that may be in the Buccaneers, favor. When you look at the Redskins, this is a team that's a walking mash unit. They lost 3 offensive linemen last week. There's no team in the NFL that can lose 3 offensive linemen and be competitive. Ask the Dallas Cowboys. They lost 2.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything. They can't protect their quarterback at all.
Yeah.
And, if you can't protect your quarterback, that means you can't even block for your running back.
Yeah.
So this is one of those games that you might see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get back online with some big numbers, Charlton, with Fitzpatrick throwing the ball. Where we saw last week where Washington had trouble in the secondary with the Falcons.
Yep.
And Matt Ryan had a heck of a day with 363 yards passing.
Yep.
Fitzpatrick can do the same thing with the receiving core that they have in Tampa Bay.
Well, Big C, it may not be the holy roller, but some people need to be praying for the Raiders. They're at home again. The Chargers 6-2, Raiders 1-7. Holy roller? No. Another win for the Chargers? Yes, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, John Gruden said it best. You got to teach people how to pass rush. Got rid of his best pass rusher in Khalil Mack.
Yep.
He got rid of his second best pass rusher in Cliff Averill.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is that I'm going to go in and I'm going to play against Phillip Rivers, one of the hottest quarterbacks right now in the NFL.
Yep.
With 3 tremendous wideouts and a good tight end.
Yeah.
And Melvin Gordon, when he's healthy, one of the top 5 running backs in the game.
Yeah. I tell
the
you
Raiders
what.
will
Yep.
be lucky, Charlton, to keep the Chargers under 33 points in this game.
That is a great statement to make, Big C, because the Chargers right now might be the top 2 or 3. I'd say put them in the top 3 in the AFC, and the Raiders are probably in the bottom 2 or 3 of the worst teams in the NFL, and probably the worst team the Raiders have ever had. If you just look at their history, that's a 4 or 5 kickoff Sunday Eastern Time on CBS Sports, and the Chargers are favored by 10.5 at the Coliseum. Where's the half come from? They'll probably win by 14 points. They don't need a half when they're playing the Raiders and John Gruden. Big C, the Packers 3-4-1 with complaining Aaron Rodgers. He tends to complain a lot. I mean, he gets a lot of praise, but he never points the finger at himself. I was always told when you point the finger at somebody, there's 3 pointing back. And I tried that, and I think my coaches were right, Big C. The Dolphins 5-4, a 4:25 kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on CBS Sports, and the Packers are favored by 10. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is one of those games that the excuses have to stop for the Packers, Charlton. I mean, we've heard over the past couple of weeks where Aaron Rodgers hasn't got a chance for his team to compete in the fourth quarter. Everybody's taking the ball out of his hands. You know, when you're the best quarterback in the game, Charlton, you're not waiting on the last 2 minutes of the game to win. Did we see Ben Roethlisberger last night waiting on the last 2 minutes of the game, Charlton?
Wow.
To get the ball back in his hands to try to win it? No. He took care of it early.
Wow.
Let's put this out of question.
Yeah.
But, you know, the media has been so fond of Aaron. And Rodgers is a tremendous quarterback, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's been one of the more elite quarterbacks in the league to not win a championship in the last 10 years. Okay? Let's put it where it is. And let's be honest.
He's highest paid, Big
He's been
C.
one of the more elite quarterbacks in the league to not win a championship in the last 10 years.
Yep.
You can blame everybody around him, Charlton. But eventually you got to start saying the guy's not getting it done. Just like your cousin in Minnesota when he was in Washington.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't getting it done. He was taking a lot of money, but he wasn't getting it done. And, you know, everybody goes out on the field to win. And that's the thing that a lot of people in the media forget about. Is that team on the other side of the ball, Charlton, they didn't show up just because his name was Aaron Rodgers and say, we're going to lay down and let him have a super game.
Yeah.
We're coming after him with everything. So Aaron has to beat the Dolphins this week, Charlton.
Yeah.
And your friend Brock Osweiler. He can't get out-fooled by Brock.
That's right. I keep saying I'm going to set the dinner table for the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and I'm going to have, it's going to be Kirk Cousins, Big C. We're going to set a play for him since you keep saying he's my cousin. Maybe you know something I don't know, Big C. I got to get to this game because it's a game that's reshaping the West Coast. The Seattle Seahawks 4-4. They're at the LA Rams 8-1. That's a 4:25 kickoff East Coast time Sunday on CBS Sports. Now the Rams are favored by 10. When's the last time you've heard of the Seattle Seahawks being a 10-point underdog since Wilson's been the quarterback? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, after that beatdown last week by the Chargers, Charlton, I think people think the Seahawks may not have the offense to keep up, but you got to go back to the first time these two teams met, Charlton.
Yeah.
Up in Seattle. It was a very close game.
Yeah.
The Rams were held in check by the Seahawks. And I think that Seahawks team will show up again this week, Charlton. It's hard to play against that receiving core of the Chargers. There were some mistakes made by the Seahawks in that game, Charlton. But I think this is going to be a lot more competitive game than the 10 points. If you look at what happened last week in New Orleans, when the Saints got up early on the Rams, I don't know if the Rams can recover from that. And people will see that Marcus Peters is a vulnerability on the Rams defense, and I think Russell Wilson will go after him consistently.
Yeah, he lacks a little bit of Keith Talib, when he comes back, it will make a big difference for the Rams. The Cowboys, Big C, how about them Cowboys? They're 3-5 at the Eagles 4-4. It's an 8:20 kickoff Eastern Standard Time Sunday on NBC Sports, and the Eagles are favored by 7. If there's anything the Cowboys can do, is to learn to block for a running back who can run the ball and not put your quarterback in 3rd and long. They got to have in 3rd and less than 5 to have more success, especially at the Eagles. The Cowboys still cannot stretch the field no matter how many times they hand the ball off to Dak Prescott to Elliott. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a game that's going to eliminate one of these teams from the AFC East. Okay, their season will basically end in this game.
Yeah.
You know, the Eagles are going to premiere their new receiver, Golden Tate. Well, we saw the Cowboys premiere their new receiver last week
Yep.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys didn't utilize Cooper in going over the top. They threw him a couple passes underneath. They didn't stretch the defense with him. Now, I see the Eagles playing that differently, Charlton, with Golden Tate. I see Carson Wentz throwing the ball deep to Golden Tate.
Yeah.
He's that type of receiver who will make a difference in their lineup, just like he did in Detroit.
Yeah.
You saw Matthew Stafford get sacked 10 times as soon as they let him go.
Yeah.
He will help that Eagles offense, Charlton. And, you know, the way that the Dallas Cowboys have been playing with a lackluster offensive line,
Yeah.
I see the Eagles just dominating this game, Charlton.
Well, that seemed like they will, Big C. The last game it's a must-see TV, especially if you go back to about 8 years ago, Big C. The New York Giants 1-7 at the San Francisco 49ers 2-7, and that's an 8:15 kickoff on Monday Night Football. ESPN has it. The Niners are favored by 3. Just finished doing an interview, a sit-down with the great Patrick Willis, one of the all-time great linebackers in the NFL, and especially for the 49ers. This is not that same organization. People just need to know that, and there'll be promise in the future. But before they have a promising future, Garoppolo, the guy who they gave $137 million to, $37 million guaranteed, he's injured. His money's not helping the 49ers. He's never won anything. He's never been a 50% quarterback winning. He's never been to a playoff game, never won a division, and they bankrupt the franchise for him. When will he come back to the organization and say, you guys, let's restructure my contract so you can get some better players in here? We just had Dez Bryant go to New Orleans, and he had it towards Achilles tendon. We hope that he'll come back from that. But the Saints are the best team right now in the NFC, and they're still making moves. The 49ers are one of the worst teams, and the guy won't give up any money to restructure to make them better. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the situation with the 49ers is you got Nick Mullen playing quarterback. If Nick Mullen goes out and wins this game, and he continues to win as a 49ers quarterback, what position does that put the 49ers in, Charlton, next year, going into training camp? When you got a quarterback that's not making a pocket change compared to the other quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you do with him? Do you keep him? Do you cut him? Do you trade him? Eli Manning, Charlton, if he loses to Nick Mullen just like Derek Carr did last week, Charlton, is his time up? Do you start looking to say, hey, you need to go buy yourself a house in Jacksonville? That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going to end up next year, because you're not going to be in New York. But, you know, this is a true testament, Charlton, of two franchises. You got one franchise offensively with all the talent in the world except for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Then you have another franchise, Charlton, that's fledgling. No one knows who's playing for them.
No.
And you take this franchise with Nick Mullins last week, Charlton, had a perfect QBR rating and threw 3 touchdowns against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Can he duplicate that performance against the Giants this week? And like I said, anybody wants to see how the Giants are going to pan out in this game, go watch Forrest Gump. You'll see him playing quarterback for the Giants.
Yeah, it's funny. Speaking of watching movies, my son's been watching Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I think Malcolm X is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, written and directed by the great Spike Lee, and played by Denzel Washington. So many great actors, and so many great poignant moments in that movie about a people, African Americans. The great Malcolm X, God rest his soul. There was 2 versions of Malcolm, and you just got to watch it. I've seen it about 20 times, and it's great to hear my son say it's one of the best movies he's seen as a teenager. I want to tell everyone, be safe out there driving, especially California. The smoke from the fires in Northern California, the Chico area, and all the way down to Southern California, the LA area. The sun and the sky are blocked off. Please be safe if you're out there, and you obviously you have some type of issues with breathing. We know it's Veterans Day weekend coming up. Please pay attention to all of our veterans. And people may not know, but poppies are made by injured veterans in the USA. There's a lot of people who've done a lot to serve this country. We want to make sure that we pay homage to them on Big C Sports. We know we can't get here on our own. Big C, as we close out Big C Sports today, I want to touch on a few things in the world of basketball. And I know last night, Golden State Warriors, they suffered a big loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. But more than the loss, Steph Curry had a little injury. Draymond Green was already out. And we know that even Livingston didn't play. But it shows you how good Giannis is as an athlete. I just want to get your thoughts on how good this team from Milwaukee can be. They had just lost to Portland, but they doubled up on Golden State last night. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, this was a team, Charlton, that was the last undefeated team in the NBA. but they're not a consistent team yet, Charlton. Yes, they beat up on Golden State. They scored 134 points, Charlton. They're averaging 122 points a game.
Yeah.
But you got to do that all year long. And you can't put too much into this Golden State loss, Charlton. They're 10-2. But, Steph Curry going down. Steph Curry only played 51 games last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, I believe, played 64 games.
Yeah.
Draymond Green missed a few games. So when you look at the Golden State Warriors, you got to evaluate your season. They know they're going to be in the playoffs. If they're the A seed, Charlton, if they're the number 1 seed, Charlton,
yeah,
they're going to be there. And I think all those players played in all the playoff games last year, Charlton, and all the series that they had.
Yep.
And I think those are the games that matter the most, is that you play in all the playoff games.
Yeah.
And I think in all those playoff games, by average, Charlton, they outscored their opponents.
Yeah.
In all of those games.
Yep.
And walked away with a championship for the third time in 4 years.
Yeah.
So when people say, well, the Warriors got dominated by the Bucks, okay, the Bucks didn't make the finals last year.
Yeah.
They didn't make the semifinals last year. So what you do this early in the season, yes, it's nice. It's just like when we talk about the Lakers getting off to the slow start.
Yeah.
They will make the playoffs. Will they challenge for the conference championship? Yet to be seen.
That's yet to be seen.
But the Golden State Warriors, Charlton, when people start pushing the panic button because they get blown out in a game during the season,
yeah,
all you got to do is go back and look at the last 4 years, Charlton, late in the season,
yeah,
in the playoffs, and see where the Warriors have been, Charlton, the last 4 NBA finals.
Yeah, they play in the land of vibranium. They're always finding where the vibranium is, Big C. I want to get your thoughts. NBA Gordon Hayward makes his return to Utah tonight. He's not doing that great as far as averaging. His production is not that great. And it looks like in Utah, Donovan Mitchell's the new star in town. But Gordon, I don't really think he left on good footing because they wanted a white star in Utah. And they had one, and he turned his back on them. He turned his back on a team that wanted to have a white star be their player, like a John Malone back in the day. Nothing wrong with that. But he turned his back on him and went to Boston, who also wanted a white star player, Big C. Your thoughts on his return to Utah tonight? Your thoughts?
Well, the thing that Gordon Hayward looked at, Charlton, is that he couldn't reach that total star status being in Utah. I mean, you look how long John Stockton and Karl Malone toiled out there in the Rocky Mountain State, Charlton.
Yeah.
And never got anything out of it. They made one NBA Finals, but, you were an all-time assist leader. You were the all-time leading scorer. When you retired, no one even knows about you playing in Utah.
Yeah.
So he goes to Boston. He suffered that horrific ankle injury last year, Charlton. His point production is down this year from what it was in Utah. He's down about 12.5 points a game.
Yep.
But Donovan Mitchell became the player that no one expected last year, Charlton. He exploded onto the scene in Utah and propelled that team deep into the playoffs, Charlton. He's a star in the making in the NBA. So, this is going to be a good homecoming for Hayward.
Yeah.
Maybe he can get off the snide and have his best game of the season, which will be good for Boston and the NBA.
That would be great for them. The NBA schedule tonight is Charlotte at Philadelphia. We have Washington at Orlando, Detroit at Atlanta. Down in the South, Big C, we have Indiana at Miami, Brooklyn at Denver. We just mentioned Boston at Utah. Minnesota is at Sacramento. And I think as we look at the NBA season, it's great time of year. There's some teams in the East because Cleveland's not the team anymore with LeBron not being there. We can look at teams that might compete for the Eastern Conference Championship. You definitely got to look at Toronto. They're rolling strong. You have to look at Milwaukee. They're good. Boston's a good team. And you look at the 76ers, maybe they're still a year away from trusting the process. On the West Coast, you got to have Golden State, of course. And then you're looking at teams like Denver's coming on so strong. Utah made a big push last year. Houston has fallen flat, Big C. Why is Houston, we don't have liftoff, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they got rid of a couple of key free agents, mainly Ariza, who's now in San Antonio. You can't mess up the chemistry, Charlton, of a team that reaches to the level that they did last year.
Yeah.
They felt that they could. And this team is not the same. You bring in Carmelo Anthony, who just can't score anymore in the NBA. He had 2 points last night, Charlton. He didn't make one bucket. 2 points. And that 2 points came on a goaltending ball.
Wow.
So, here's a guy that can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And if they keep him on the roster all year long, Charlton, you're taking away playing time from somebody who can play.
Wow.
You know, I mean, you can't always live on your laurels in this game. This is one of those players that you put him on the waiver wire because he's not fitting. He didn't fit in Oklahoma City last year, Charlton. And he doesn't know how not to be a star. He can't accept the role at this point. He's not Vince Carter in the NBA. So Houston just doesn't have the chemistry. And you think about it. If not for a last-minute shot last night, Charlton, they wouldn't have scored 80 points.
Wow. That's incredible.
You think about that. They normally scored 80 by the end of the third quarter last year. They were the highest-scoring team in the league.
That's incredible, Big C. MLS playoffs at a glance, conference semifinals, home and home first leg. Eastern Conference, Columbus won, New York nothing. Atlanta won, New York City FC nothing. In the Western Conference, Portland 2 and Seattle 1. And also Sporting Kansas City 1 and Real Salt Lake 1. I want to tell everybody on this beautiful holiday weekend coming up, please be safe. Please don't drink and drive. Don't let your friends drink and drive. We just came off the vote. We see what happens when people put their minds together, and please don't become a sycophant. Everybody has a right to voice their opinion. We know you're going to have a great time this weekend, and please salute all of our veterans. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, ever since the Bowl Committee was invented a couple years ago,
yes,
there's always been a team to lose ever since the Bowl Selection Committee has come out in the top 5 every week. This week, Charlton, every team in the top 5 is favored by at least 14 points.
Wow.
Which one of those 5 teams, Charlton, will fall this week and give a shakeup once again to the Bowl Committee Selection Committee?
Well, yep, that's always good knowledge, Big C. We know it's going to happen because it always happens. What we also know is going to happen every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.